Okay, we get a lot of questions about this, and I'm going to give you a little talk here on garment tanning, which is actually garment dressing, and what it's about, what it takes, what we're looking for in it. I kind of the fact there's different processes and stuff, but the term garment tanning, which is actually dressing, it's not tanning, it gets thrown around pretty loosely on the internet now. So I'm going to give you a kind of a people that are really curious. We'll show you what you're looking for, some of the major things you're looking for. The tan itself, the garment tan is a formula. Okay, so technically you can garment tan about anything if you're using a formula that is a fur dressing formula. But a lot of it, I guess you want to say garment tanning compared to garment quality. And that's what we're going to go over. We're going to look at what you need to have a garment dress that actually is also garment quality. And also talk about a few things that you got to pitfalls you got to watch for. One of the big things is you got to remember on a garment, they're looking for luxury. I mean, you need to be able to finish the skin out where you've got a nice, dry, fluffy skin, a lot of loft to it. It's got that shine, that like this cat. It's a nice Western cat. Whoop, the one's getting away. Here's another example. This one's a little bit heavier. I mean, you see the loft it's got on that back fur, and then when you look at the belly fur, you see the way it puffs up and it stands up. That's number one. If you can't give somebody a good, clean fur that's got that loft to it, nobody's going to use that for a garment unless they want it to be a pretty ragged looking garment. So that's one of the things you have to do. You have to have a process that will give you this nice, dry, clean loft to the fur. Okay, the next thing you need is you need a leather that they can work with. Okay, lightweight. It varies by species. I mean, cats are pretty thin back here, but you have a lightweight. You can see it's soft. It has some stretch to it. But that, when they block it, that's going to stretch out. But it's something that needs to be light enough for them to work with. It'll sew easy, and I'll show you a couple pieces of other skins that have already been blocked. So you need to be able to finish it, to get a good finish on it. You also need a formula and a process and a shaving ability that gives you that nice, thin, lightweight leather. The last thing you want is a skin that somebody's going to use raccoons for a coat and they weigh a pound a piece. They don't want a 30 or 40 pound jacket. They want something that's lightweight and is easy to wear. Okay, so we've got clean fur. We've got a nice lightweight leather that's soft. Color doesn't really matter. People say, oh, it's got to be bright white. The color of the leather depends on the media you're using and the oils you're using. Okay, white doesn't mean good tan or bad tan. Okay, now some of the things to watch out for, especially on these predators, these guys out west, quit using borax on the heads. You can get away with it, I'm sure, a lot out in the more arid environments, but if you don't flesh all the meat and everything off of this head good, and then you borax it and you put it on with what people call skip the flip, which is an absolute mistake, you end up with this a lot because it stays wet in there. The borax changes the pH of the skin, and when you go to rehydrate it, you end up with slippage. And it generally is going to be on the face, or it's going to be on the front legs is where they're going to have a problem. So flesh the skin clean. Fur in first, then flip it fur out after a day when the moisture's out of that head. Okay, the skip the flip. There's a few cats in this batch that were put on wire fur out. The wire burns right down the side. This cat basically, you can see how it's all knotted up. It's basically now a belly and a back because it was put on the wire, fur out right from the beginning, and that wire has a reaction to it. There's a really nice cat that's going to be a craft project now. So do not do the skip the flip. Okay, if there's any moisture in there, it's going to lock in, it's going to start spoiling on you. When you do, okay, I had another one here I was going to show you and I must have missed it in there. There's a couple in here where they didn't split the tails. So you got tails with no fur on them up here. Heat or saving them over. Okay, not fleshing them good. There was some cats in this batch that were burnt so bad that we couldn't even touch the bodies of them until after they came out of the tan. And we went through a lot of extra work trying to loosen them up. But this is what you get. That's giving you a flat, stiff leather that is not going to work too well when you go to make something out of it. So avoid heat. Storing them over, make sure they're in some kind of a bag and you've got the air sucked out, because it's oxidation, it's reaction with the oxygen is what causes the grease burn, everybody calls it. Another one, you don't have to, I mean, it's up to whether your ethics allows you to do it. There's a cat in here somewhere that on the belly's got about a 6-inch long cut that somebody put something over and super glued back together. I myself would feel guilty about doing that. I understand that it might have made a $500 difference on the price of the cat the way they are today. Wires in the front legs. It goes along with the skip the flip deal. And I don't think this was one of them, but people put things in the front legs to hold them open to dry, which is understandable. There's a couple cats in here. People bent wire, and the bent wire was in here, so there was burn marks up both sides of the front leg. Not as bad as when it's burned all the way down the side, but there is burn marks in it, and that's going to cause a little bit of a problem. So those are some of the major things, as far as putting out a good product. And I mean, you can say, well, once I get the money, I don't care. The problem is the manufacturer down the road, when they are buying furs, putting good money in them, and they're getting damage, they don't have the size, like with the case of an overstretched raccoon, because it goes back to its normal size. What are they going to do in the future? They're going to back off the price that they're paying for that because they're not getting the yield out of it. So be honest to yourself, be honest to the buyers. We're all kind of in this together. Everybody always talks Eastern versus Western on the cats, and so I've got here. Okay, this is pretty decent for West Virginia. I mean, this is an Eastern. Big thing is look at your markings and look at your spots. I mean, yeah, that's not a real good belly on a Western. I grabbed a bad one. It's got a lot of brown in it. But, look at the difference in the way the spots are on them. Okay, Western, you got spots on the back. You've got this nice long belly, wide, big spots. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, that's a decent West Virginia cat, but they just don't compare. So I'm gonna grab a piece of raccoon and beaver that's already been blocked, and I'll be right back. Okay, after dampening and blocking, the fur will end up with a little bit, it'll feel flatter and a little bit stiffer, but that's normal. I mean, it isn't stiff like a board. It'll still have some flexibility to it. But this is when we talk about the shaving. Okay, and whether you can see that or not. I mean, this is raccoon along the side, been tanned, blocked, pieces cut out for making something. You see how thin it is. Beaver, properly shaved. It's not a whole lot different than the raccoon. Okay, you got deeper roots on a beaver, so you're gonna have a little bit heavier no matter what. But I can get them flipped around. We might not be able to get them both together for you to see at once. But anyway, that's also a big part of garment dressing, is getting an even shave, a thin, even shave that will sew good. It won't give you big lumpy lines. It won't break needles, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, these are some ones that Carol's been putting together to make koozies out of some of the beaver pieces, but you can see what you got to work with there. If you've got a real thick skin that you're fighting it to get a needle through, it's not what I'm gonna call garment quality. It might be a garment dress because they used an alum on it or something, but there's a difference between a garment dress and a garment quality. Pretty much all of your taxidermy type stuff is going to be done with a modified garment dress process, but that doesn't mean that all of it is good for building something out of. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight on some of the different terminology you hear. Like I say, you hear the term "I garment dress this" thrown around on the internet an awful lot. I guess it just depends on the quality of the finished product you want and what you consider garment quality.